Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of
Welcome to Button Smashing.
You probably know me for some of my cosplays, which I post on Instagram, for my Twitch streaming, for my walkthroughs that I post to YouTube, and my video game news that I post to TikTok. Now you're going to be able to get all of that in one place. Once a month on my YouTube channel, Button Smashing with Vesper Epidose, we're going to talk about the biggest news of the month, tips and tricks for different video games. Like I said, I'm going to talk to some of my friends about all different types of video game topics. Still going to be doing cosplay. Next up, I'm going to talk to some of my friends about video game adaptations. Let's check it out. Today's topic is going to be video game and television adaptations and vice versa, because we have a lot of vice versas these days. My guests are in no particular order. We have Joey.
Hi.
Joey is basically the most knowledgeable person I've ever known about anything. Really.
He has
I
a mind palace. He's like Sherlock Holmes for
He is.
movies.
You have to
and
look
TV.
terrible on this. It's your fault.
And next up, we also have Nick, who. But your hat's backwards.
I had to put it backwards because Jen said I looked more thirsty. Or I looked more of a thirst trap with it backwards. So
We
I'll turn
listen
around.
to Jen. Jen's our producer.
I'll turn it around. Baldwin Board Games logo. Our friends Steve and I'm bald, he's bored, have a board game company. We are currently in the process of making board games, but right now we have a Twitch and YouTube stream where we do playthroughs, how to plays, and unboxings for new games, rulebook rundowns for those, and we bicker a lot. That's kind of our thing. Our logo is us butting heads because we butt heads often. So you can find us at Bald and Board Game, and that's board as in BORED games on Twitch, YouTube, and Instagram.
Okay, so let's get started with one of my favorite franchises, like to the point where I can't even put it into words, that I know all of us love and all of us have played, and that's The Last of Us.
What's that? I'm kidding.
So I learned about Last of Us because it was just popping up on my feed all the time, probably because I'm a big Mandalorian fan. And I'm like, I don't know what this is, and I kind of don't care. But I learned to care after I watched the first episode of Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann's fabulous pilot episode for The Last of Us. And I would say on a small scale, this is weird to say, but on a small scale, my life was changed forever. Because I was so shook by that first episode that I was playing the game along with the show's episodes as they came out. And as soon as I finally finished that, I immediately played the second one. And we were lucky enough to have the Haunted Maze at Howling Horror Nights. So we got to experience that like all around the same time. But without getting, I could make a whole episode just about this. But how do the two of you feel about the adaptation? I listened to HBO's podcast with Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, and I'll share some of the things that I learned from them. But what do you guys think about the adaptation? What were some of the highlights? What were some of your favorite things, or what are some things that you would have liked to see differently?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
You seem ready.
Jump in. Joey's like, I hated
am
it.
ready for this.
I like it quite a bit. I think it's the rare occasion where it is better than the game. And then I thought the game kind of lended itself already to a good adaptation because the story's already kind of there. Yeah, and there were going specifically to where it improved. You think about the episode with Nick Offerman, and
Oh yeah,
that's
Bill
literally
and Frank.
a letter in the game, a file, a text file.
Like an insinuation of their relationship, and not even like outright stating it.
And they just kind of took it and ran with it and made this amazing episode. And I think that's kind of what everybody remembers now.
Yeah. I feel the same way about the Sam and Henry episode. That shook me. Like, you know.
They had a lot of smart choices. with that. So like The Last of Us, I love. I think I bought every single version of it back in the original when they did like a remaster and then remastered it again for PS5. And Naughty Dog makes games that have great stories. So they make movies that you play. So Uncharted is the same way. Those are they're great because you can tell that Neil Druckmann and his team really value story and finding ways to make gameplay suit and cater to the story. From things in The Last of Us where there's moments where you end up upside down, and instead of just having it be a whole cutscene you're upside down and you get saved, like nope, it goes from cutscene you're upside down and now you have to actually save yourself. Yeah. And it's great. And so that Sam, scene, the little brother, that they made smart changes in the show that served the story. And it's something that was great about having Neil Druckmann attached to it, and that I really respect about the way they did it, is Neil Druckmann said, we were only going to change something if it made the story better. Yeah. And that's why the show, to Joey's point, ended up better than the story in the game. Because small things like making the little brother deaf, that wasn't in the game. But that small change made him that much more reliant on his older brother. So when things that happened, it hit you even harder. And
rose the stakes. Yeah, there's a lot of video games that I love for story. With The Legends of Zelda being my favorite franchise for video games. But I felt like it took it to the next level of we're talking about real human stories.
It's filmmaking, and it helped too that they took the time as well graphically to find a way, the fidelity into the graphics early on. It was one of the most beautiful games when it originally came out. And again, Naughty Dog does this. I think it's because they're not doing things like Final Fantasy that are just over the top with tons of particles, so they can put that power into their textures and the way the games look. So they look very real. And then with the acting and the mocap capture, you have actual actors acting through these scenes. It's not just somebody trying to animate something.
Yes. Oh man. Okay. So what else do you hate, Joey?
Well, if you want to go along the
broccoli,
the Naughty Dog, the whole Naughty Dog trick, I would say.
Oh God, yeah.
There's a pretty big adaptation of one of their franchises called Uncharted.
I just started it.
Like a dead fish.
Yeah.
No spoilers for the game from the movie.
Oh really?
It's
okay. Good. I hate spoilers.
Pure trash.
Oh no.
They did one thing really well, but it just didn't make sense.
What was
the fact that it didn't.
The one thing they did well was recreating the plane scene, but the way that they shot it in the movie, Tom Holland defied gravity.
I feel like the fact that I didn't know that there was an Uncharted movie says a lot.
Well, it went through. It was unfortunately the victim partly of production hell. Okay. And were they working on it during COVID?
It's been around forever because Mark Wahlberg's in
Before
it.
COVID.
Mark Wahlberg's in it playing the older character, Sully.
Which he wasn't originally.
And originally he was supposed to be Nathan Drake, and
which makes way more sense.
That's how long this whole thing. Yeah, he would be a perfect Nathan Drake.
And then for some reason we got Tom Holland, and it's a prequel now. And
we got Tom Holland most likely because of the success of the Spider-Man movies, and they wanted to get Tom Holland into it, and said, okay, we'll just make Wahlberg. What's his name? The old man. Oh my God, Sully. Well, when we made Wahlberg Sully, all we're going to do is throw a mustache on. I was like, but Sully was already 60 plus from the very first one.
I don't think Wahlberg is that.
But the Uncharted games, again, that's why the ball got dropped so hard and why it stands out so much as a terrible adaptation, because the games by Naughty Dog, again,
are so good.
Are number 4, again, very much a film. It starts off, everything in Uncharted is shot like a film. Their cinematography in the game is better than a lot of movies these days. And it just immediately it gets your heart pumping right from the start. It puts you in the middle of it, and it doesn't cop out and make things just cutscenes. It's great.
The other one. Let's talk about Fallout.
Well, I was gonna say we talked about something I hated, so we can go to something I love, which was Fallout. So,
let's talk about Fallout, which I haven't played, and I didn't even get through the first episode because I hate body gore.
You hate gore.
What?
It's not
boring.
I just the whole time was like,
It's no Saw. It's blood splatter for effect. But the juxtaposition of that with like the music that's playing is what Fallout is. Like
Then it's
it's
not
a
for
serious
me.
it's a serious thing, but it's goofy at the same time.
Yeah. What did you like about it though? Like, I'm okay with you spoiling it. Just tell me what you like.
No, I mean, I
your
liked
favorite
exactly.
parts. Yeah.
So a lot of it, exactly what it was, the juxtaposition of the the music that was playing, and then just kind of how goofy it was, while it being an actual like serious thing, and having those serious moments was a fun
Well, that's an
mix
interesting thought, though.
that you didn't really have that sort of thing. And then the story too was very interesting. So I actually didn't play the games beforehand. Our friend Sam is big, loves Fallout. Played it, just one that I missed. Like I went the route of Last of Us and Uncharted, and I completely missed Fallout and things like Far Cry. Like just didn't
we'll have
touch
to have
those.
him on another episode then.
And so getting to experience the story for the first time, or at least a version of the story for the first time, was fun. And because I didn't know what was going to happen when we going. So if you played the games, you obviously knew kind of the backstory, kind I assume, of some of the twists.
It's so vague, the story of the games. It's just kind of, it's a post-apocalyptic world. There's a bomb, several bombs, and that's about it. That's all you need. That's all.
And so they took that and made a huge. Oh, and vaults. They took vaults and made big stories out of vaults.
And even then, the vaults that we see in the show are nowhere in the games, and then the vaults we see in the games are nowhere in the show. It's all the same world, and people say there's contradictions, but I didn't really see it. But it works. It's just kind of like, here's some story in this corner of the world.
Ghoul is my favorite.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, well, I feel like I will listen to it. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it.
Just get drunk or high, what you do.
It's great. I mean, it's maybe like if it's a scene that you can't watch, just close your eyes. But
yeah, that's
like, just like treat it like a horror movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so then. Okay, this leads me to, since we're getting into spooky, like, who am I kidding? We're in spooky season. I've never really played or watched any Resident Evil, but I had a wonderful experience as someone who, like, it's like a drug. Like, I want to be scared by a haunted house so bad. But, like, when I did the VR of Resident Evil 7... I was this is the haunted house of my dreams. I was like trying to like crawl into the house going like, I know something's going to jump out. I have no idea. I've never played the game or watched the movies or the shows or whatever. But I felt like VR was like, it was the haunted house of my dreams.
That's a game that's built for VR. Like that and Silent Hill.
Yes.
You know, like PT, that tech demo, like that, just all that stuff is built for VR. Did they end up doing a VR version of 8 of Village?
Yep.
Yeah. And those things, the Resident Evil games are one, so I don't get scared by movies, but playing those games give me anxiety because of 2 reasons. One, I'm terrible at first-person shooters with a controller.
Yeah.
Computer, mouse, everything, more tactile, I'm fine. But with a controller, I get anxious, kind of know I'm bad.
Yeah.
So like, something shows up right now, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And so
and
then
you have to be like, it's okay,
on top
I can try again. Like.
But yeah, those are 7 was great. Village I still have to play through. I've played through a portion of it, and they're so much fun. And I don't think the movies have really hit that caliber.
No, not even close.
They were cult following. They were that campy fun thing back in the day when the original ones came out, because at that point in time it was Resident Evil. It was a new take on the whole zombie craze that was going on at that point in time. It wasn't Night of the Living Dead. It was one of the first that I remember like video game adaptation movies, which is what made it really exciting as well. You know, and if you haven't seen it, you definitely watch at least the first one.
You can stop there.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it was the first one.
Any more thoughts on that?
It's like 8 movies, and they all star a director's wife, and it's garbage.
Just play the games.
Yes.
Well, play the games for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if you try to go back and play the first one, you're gonna run into your issue of like the wonky controls. If you try and go, oh god, have you gone back to play the original Devil May Cry?
No.
Holy cow. The camera is trash.
Yeah, I wanted so badly. I never played through Mario 64. I've played many of the levels of like, I know, and I like want to play it, but I'm just like so frustrated with cause like really for me where it's at, okay, so like with Ocarina of Time being my main that era game that I played, and it has like the Z targeting. They didn't have the Z targeting yet. They had like the weird camera, like you can like hear it, right? And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm trying to be like cool while I'm streaming, and I kind of just want to lose my mind right now. 60. Let's do a 360. A 180 maybe. Let's flip everything on its head and talk about Star Wars. Recently, and I'm grateful. I'm not gonna get into it, please. But like, I just like Star Wars, if I may. And so, but I find myself going back to like, remember when we just had 3 Star Wars and we were like literally starving for anything? And that's what that's why the video games were so great. Sorry, what?
So now we're choking because they're shoving it down our throat.
But were the video games so great? I mean,
okay, where should I start? Should I start with Rogue Squadron? Should I start with Shadows of the Empire? Should I start with, like, where should I start? Okay, Star Wars Battlefront. But anyways, for me, like, the video games were so great because I got to see more of this world that I could really only imagine or saw, like, some Ralph McQuarrie illustrations of, you know? And so video games were really important to me back in the game to like enrich and the ships. You got to like fly the ships.
Yeah, Force Unleashed.
Unleashed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but Battlefront, like you literally get to see the details of everything.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you get into obviously the recent, ones. You have Jedi Survivor, you have Fallen Order. Those are probably the best ones that I haven't played Survivor, but Fallen Order is the best Star Wars game that I've played to date.
And my roommate's still playing Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws, which I look forward to try now.
I haven't touched that.
So what I hear is, and I did a little news segment on this, that like people like it, but they felt like the price point was a little high for what they got.
For Outlaws?
That's everything.
Well, but the director's like, okay, hear that? We're going to fix it.
The price point's too high is the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
Like $700. Anyway,
maybe that's
tangent.
why people...
Sony.
Outlaws, you're literally getting about 300 hours of gameplay. Yeah.
Well, that's what people don't understand. People complain about video games costing $70.
Yeah.
Right?
But you know what? They haven't really gone up that much since I was a kid.
But I mean, they were 40.
40 and 60.
Not N64, those are around 70.
Yeah, 64
I know
had $60
PlayStation
games.
was $50. It's
N64
gone about
was
20.
But still, how many years
has
it been?
But anyway, so the point being, regardless of then or now, you're paying $70 for, to your point, how many hours of entertainment when you're willing to pay $20 to $30 to go see a 3-hour movie.
Mm-hmm.
You're paying $10 for an hour of entertainment. Mm-hmm. If you go and if you spend $70 and you're playing Final Fantasy VII, which is going to take you God knows how many hours if you try to actually do everything and enjoy how it's meant to be, it's probably going to be, it takes you 70 hours to beat Final Fantasy VII. You paid $1 for an hour of entertainment.
Yep. So,
actually,
everything I've heard about the Halo TV show comes from what you said other people said.
But don't you read
and then
as
what
well?
I think.
I'm just regurgitating what I read.
No, you only talk about what other people say, and
so
I haven't read anything about people's opinions. So here's my thing about, okay, first of all, Halo is, again, another one of those for many of us that's like, it is like a moment in the timeline of video games, right? Sure. You know, it's like, I remember Halo 1, but like Halo 2, my brother and I didn't have an Xbox, we didn't have Halo, so we were at my cousin's house and we literally beat it overnight so that we could play it. Like, I'll remember that forever. So the show comes out. And I want to hear all of your experiences in total with Halo. So the first episode I watched, and I never watched any of it ever again.
This seems to be a theme for you.
Wait, really?
Yeah, until.
Cliffhanger there.
Yeah.
Well, I think it says a lot about a pilot episode. It's like, if you intend to watch something the whole way through, like we were talking about Last of Us. I didn't know anything about Last of Us. I watched the pilot episode, and I'm like, okay, here we are. What do we do next? Where am I supposed to be next? Like, you know, it like got my attention. And I feel like the pilot episode of Halo was really rough. It's the first episode, and it's old now. But like everybody died. It was like, I was like, so why are we here? like, who are we supposed to care about? I guess Master Chief, but
That's literally it.
Yeah.
I guess the main
I
character.
guess. But he was but still, like, it kind of had that feeling of like, okay, now we care about this. Nope. No. Okay, no. But anyway, so I came back to it a lot later. And I'm like, I'm going to watch this show. I want to like this show. And I ended up really liking it. But I will say that what I liked about it, I felt like the storyline was fine.
Sorry, I threw Jen into a
The
laughing fit.
producer's dying again. The producer's dying again. But
It's my Master Chef comment.
Master Chef, there's no one to care about. I guess the main character.
If I have to.
Oh my god! At least I have the main character.
I was really curious about this rock over here, but whatever.
Well, I mean, they spent this whole episode introducing us to all these people, and I felt like they
What
spent
you're
so
saying is
little time.
They tried to Game of Thrones it. They tried to go for the shock factor of introducing people
Yes.
that you thought were going to be important, and then they killed them off, and they were hoping
Exactly.
that would have been the twist at the end that hooked you,
Yeah,
like a little boy being shoved out of a tower.
and I wanted to like it, but I never went back to it until I was like, I'm gonna like this show. And then I felt like the storyline was okay. The storyline was fine, and it was like there was some stuff that really hit and some stuff that was real cheeseball. But like
main character.
what I loved about it was the moments when we got to see the Spartans being Spartans.
To keep their fucking helmets on.
Well, there's a thing to that though, right?
It's not all black and white.
Well, there's a thing to
Yes.
to keeping the helmet on. It's the same thing with, like the Mandalorian, right?
Mhm.
As it is here, is keeping the helmet on, keeping that suit on. There's an air of mystery that's there. It's the same thing as it's like a horror movie, right?
Mhm.
Where there's a monster.
Yeah.
It's way scarier
Like, who
until
is
you
this
see
monster?
the monster. Once you see the monster, it's no longer as scary. So with characters like this who come off as very cool or intimidating, once you see that they're just a person,
It was
it
too soon.
destroys that facade.
Yeah.
Especially that character.
Right.
Which notoriously is just a person in a helmet.
Yeah, so I mean, if you want to humanize your lead, then maybe don't make him the lead.
But also with Master Chief or anyone else who's in an outfit, keeping them in that outfit and not showing who they are helps them also be relatable to more people because people can see themselves as that character.
Yeah.
The moment you display them as a demographic, it severs that.
And this is going to be movies to video game.
Mm.
And I'm just going to have to go with my favorite. If you know me, I can't stop talking about it. I talk about it all the time, and I even had a whole birthday about it. GoldenEye.
Yeah, of course.
GoldenEye, such a good game,
Mhm.
and so revolutionary in the first-person shooter realm.
Mhm.
Even if now it feels really clunky to play, at least at the time, it was the first one since Doom
Mm.
to really bring in some more revolutionary controller styles for
It
that.
sold 64 consoles alone.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I was in high school when that came out, and it was
Oh.
just non-stop golden.
I
It
have
was
watched
a-
so
it
many
was-
YouTube videos about the making of that game.
Well, it was like the perfect combination of
Rare.
single player and multiplayer because
Yeah.
you could play through the story if you wanted to, but then it was always fun to jump into a map with your friends
Yeah.
and just go. The maps that they built,
The memories it created.
well, they were just they weren't overly complicated, but they were just super fun. Like you
They
look at some of
were.
the Call of Duty ones now, and it's like
Yeah.
there's no imagination.
I can
It's a
remember to
desert
this
with
day.
some buildings that are falling apart. Like,
I can remember to this day what it feels like to go around a corner and to fool your cousin and be like, and now I'm
Oh,
going to destroy
my core
you.
memory from
Like-
my core memory from GoldenEye
Yes.
is trying to throw a grenade down a ladder and then falling down on the grenade and dying. Like,
Oh my god, and that's why Perfect Dark was so good because it was like GoldenEye again, but with more weapons. But
Yeah.
the graphics were insanely bad. But that was part of the fun.
goodness.
Well, that-
And you
at the
had to
time.
pick which color team you were.
Yeah.
But Oh my! I cannot get over how much I love. It's hard for me to say like which video game company I love more. To be honest with you, Nintendo or Rare Games, because Rare really did make so many good games that I love. Ah, R.I.P. Although they're like Sony now or something.
They just suck now.
Mm.
I have a couple.
Don't say mine.
One is there's a video game based on this Walter Hill 70s movie called The Warriors. It came out for, I think it was PS2.
Yeah.
And it's far better than it ever should be.
Anyways, thank you. Any final statements? Any final verdicts or thoughts? Anything?
I mean, I'm optimistic for the future of any video game to TV show adaptations. When it comes to video game to movie adaptations, that's where I'm a little more wary, because I think to try and fit a video game into a movie
it's too
doesn't
short.
allow for enough time. So
unless you're Mario and it's simple, like it's
right, like the Sonic movies. The Sonic movies have been great. Also, I don't know how we missed those. But so the Sonic ones have been, one is great.
Yeah.
Number 2, I love seeing Supersonic. And number 3, I'm excited for Shadow. And they're what they're supposed to be. They're not like Oscar-worthy movies.
Yeah.
They're fun movies for what they are.
Heaven forbid we watch a movie for fun.
And Jim Carrey's in them
Like-
as Eggman. Like, come on.
Well, okay. Any last thoughts?
I hope the Silent Hill 2 remake doesn't suck. That's
Any
all I'm
last
thinking of.
thoughts?
So.
I want the entire Barbie franchise.
Okay.
I want
Wait, we didn't
Princess
make
and the
video
Pauper. I want
Those
the
are
12
not pink
Dancing
paint.
Princesses. I want the entire cinematic Barbie universe made. I want all of the video games to have an adaptation. I want a Barbie Plus channel, and not plus, it's like a little heart.
Thank you, everyone, for being here with Button Smashing with Vesper. We've had a really great conversation. And have a great day.
Joey, Nick, and I literally went on for hours, so I'll post the whole video later this week. Ready for some tips and tricks with Vesper? I'm going to be looking at the landing mechanics from the video game Outer Wilds, but don't worry, no spoilers. Okay, so I chose a really flat surface, and hopefully there are no spoilers just from watching this, for us to practice on. But you know, if you played every other planet, is very rocky or has very narrow spaces to land on, so it's really easy to damage your ship or end up in space or in water or something. So you're going to use ZR or the equivalent on a Switch controller to lift off when you want to lift off. But here's the cool thing, is push Y or the equivalent when you want to land. Now keep pushing ZR so that you don't come in too hot. And now you can see where you're landing. For, I would say, the first several launches, I landed like this. And it's not the end of the world, but you can't quite see where you're landing. Woo. Or how close you are to the surface. I'm going to switch again. Whoa, I don't even know where I am. Whoa, let's get out of the trees. Whoa. Now, if you accidentally get too far away from where you want to be, you can push ZL to move even faster, but be very careful about landing too hot because you will damage your ship. Anyways, hope that helps. And now, the best and worst from my streaming this month. I like to make an entrance. I got him! Oh my gosh, you guys, I got him. I gotta heal. I'm gonna make you think that I'm gonna play with a gun, but I'm really gonna play with this thing. Yeah. Oh, there they are. Oh, Lord, help us. If I got that turret thing that goes on my back, these people are gonna die. And then that's their friend, and you get the shield. Shield for you. I got him! Thank you so much for tuning in to my very first episode of Button Smashing with Vesper. You know the routine. Like and subscribe so you can know more about my content that I create. Every single month, I'm going to be bringing you more news, more walkthroughs, new guests. We're going to talk about new topics and the best and worst of my very own streaming. So I really hope to see you next time, and thank you again for tuning in.